You have probably thought about it, not divorce specifically, but the question underneath it, whether the person you are with is the person you were supposed to find, whether permanence is something humans were ever actually designed for, whether the institution we built around the idea of staying together forever matches something real inside human biology, or whether it is a relatively recent invention imposed on a species whose actual mating patterns looked considerably different for most of the 200,000 years before anyone invented marriage at all. The divorce rate in the United States sits at approximately 40 to 50%, half of all marriages end. We treat this as a failure as a modern epidemic, as evidence that something has gone wrong with commitment in contemporary culture. But what if the failure is not the divorce? What if the failure is the assumption that preceded it? The assumption that humans were ever built for permanent pair bonding at all? Anthropologist Helen Fisher, at Rutgers University, has spent decades studying human pair bonding across cultures. Her research, published in The Anatomy of Love in 1992, documented something that most people have never heard about. She analyzed divorce records from 62 societies around the world. Every culture she could access data from, what she found was a pattern. Across every culture studied, across every economic system, across every religious framework, across every geographic region, the same pattern appeared. Divorce rates peak in the fourth year, not the seventh. Not after decades of accumulated resentment. The fourth year, Fisher called this the 4-year itch, and she proposed a specific evolutionary explanation for why that number appears consistently across cultures that have had no contact with each other. The fourth year is not coincidence. It is biology. Running a program written long before marriage existed. The program Fisher identified is tied to one specific variable: child survival in the ancestral environment. The most vulnerable period for a child are the first 3 to 4 years before the child can walk independently, before the child can find food alone, before the child can survive without constant adult supervision. A human infant requires more sustained investment from adults than any other primate offspring. More helpless for longer, more dependent for longer, more likely to die without consistent care. 2 adults providing that care dramatically increase the infant's survival odds. So the ancestral brain developed a system, a bonding mechanism, intense enough to keep 2 adults together through the most critical period, long enough to get the child past the most dangerous window, approximately 4 years. After that, the bond begins to dissolve, not because something went wrong, because the biological program had accomplished what it was built for. The child survived the critical window. The chemistry of that bonding system has been documented precisely. Researcher Aron at Stony Brook University documented the neurochemical stages of human pair bonding in 2005. The first stage is attraction, driven by dopamine and norepinephrine, the same chemicals that drive addiction, intense focused, consuming. The world narrows to one person. This stage lasts approximately 12 to 18 months. The second stage is attachment, driven by oxytocin and vasopressin, calmer, more stable, less consuming, less neurochemically intense. Many people experience this transition as the feeling of falling out of love. As the passion disappears as evidence something is wrong, it is not evidence something is wrong. It is the biological system moving from the initial bonding phase to the sustained maintenance phase, from ignition to engine. But here's what the research also shows. The maintenance phase does not feel as compelling as the ignition phase. It was never designed to. The dopamine flood of new attachment is neurologically more intense than the oxytocin steadiness of sustained attachment, which means the brain is always going to register new attraction as more powerful than an existing attachment, always, without exception, across every human who has ever lived. This is not weakness. This is not a character flaw. This is the neurochemical architecture of a species that was never designed for permanent exclusive pair bonding. Biological anthropologist Robert Wright at Princeton University argued precisely this in his 1994 book, The Moral Animal. Humans are mildly polygamous by nature, not strongly polygamous like gorillas, not monogamous like gibbons, something uncomfortable in between, capable of sustained pair bonding, also consistently drawn toward new attractions, both things simultaneously. So what did ancient humans actually do? Anthropologist Christopher Ryan at the University of Barcelona and clinical psychologist Casilda Jetha spent years researching ancestral sexuality. Their book Sex at Dawn, published in 2010, argued something that generated enormous controversy and enormous research in response. The ancestral human social structure was not organized around pair bonding at all. It was organized around the group. Small groups of 25 to 30 people, where childcare was collective, where resources were shared, where multiple adults invested in multiple children, where exclusive pair bonding was less important than group cohesion. Ryan and Geethaw argued that pair bonding became dominant only with agriculture, when land ownership required clear inheritance structures, when fathers needed to know which children were theirs to pass accumulated property to before agriculture, before property, before inheritance. The pressure toward exclusive pair bonding may have been considerably weaker. This argument is contested. Evolutionary psychologist David Buss, at the University of Texas at Austin, has spent decades arguing the opposite. His research, published in The Evolution of Desire in 1994, documented evidence for pair bonding as a fundamental human adaptation. Not a recent cultural invention, Buss found that mate preferences are strikingly consistent across cultures. Men and women both value kindness and intelligence universally. Men show stronger preferences for physical youth. Women show stronger preferences for resource capacity. These preferences appear in every culture studied, every geographic region, every economic system, suggesting they reflect something biological, something older than any specific culture, something built into the human mating system that operates regardless of cultural context. The debate between Ryan and Buss has not been resolved. Both have evidence, both have researchers supporting their position. The honest answer is that the ancestral pattern was probably messier than either framework cleanly accounts for.